Hello and welcome to the wonderful world of English language classroom. Learners of class 10, today we will do a wonderful lesson, lesson 7, glimpses of India. Learners, through these glimpses of India, we will take you travel through different parts of India, in which first we will visit Goa, where we will taste the bread of Goa, and it is traditionally enriched, traditionally baked bread. Then we will move on down to south, where in Karnataka we will visit the Coorg and have a nice cup of coffee with its flavor on the hills of Coorg. Then we will move on to northeast Assam, where we will talk about, read about, discuss the tea from Assam and have a cup of nice Assam tea. So, learners, the purpose of the lesson is to make you understand the various cultural, social life lived in different parts of India. Learners, you know that India is a culturally enriched, rich country with great cultural heritage. This text will take you to understand what kind of language used, what kind of language is used to describe the cultural practices of people. So, get ready, learners. We will move on to read, understand, interpret and extrapolate the text. So, learners, with you is me Meghanathan from Department of Educational Languages and Kriti Gautam.
Hello sir, and hello learners.
Also from the same department. Kriti?
Yes sir.
Also, let me also ask the learners and you, what do you think of India? What comes to your mind when you think of India?
So, India is a country which is full of diverse cultures, and we have different regional music, we have folk culture, we have folk dances also, and cuisines.
Food, yeah, that's a great thing.
Exactly, a varied variety of food options across the country.
Okay, fine. Okay, that's what you rightly said. Learners, you know that the place where you live and you go around, see the landscape. One important thing our children, we as adults also miss is we don't go out and see the landscape.
Yes sir.
So, you know that Indian languages, particularly classical languages like Sanskrit, Tamil, they have classified landscapes into 4 or 5 different regions based on food, life, lived, dress, then through which they have prescribed a code for life, how to live life. So, that is what you can see in no other part of the world. You will say how to lead a life, that is what culturally embedded life. Fine. Learners, without making you wait, let us take up the first text, a baker from Goa. And before we move on to read the text and understand, Kriti, let
Yes,
me
sir.
ask you to, let us ask Kriti to read the outcomes of this lesson. There are lots of outcomes. Learners, you must know, and teachers also should know the learning outcomes of each lesson, so that we target and learn. Come on, let us go ahead and read the learning outcomes.
Sure
Okay.
sir. Learning outcomes. Learner reads, comprehends and responds to complex texts independently. Learner reads stories and literary texts, both fiction and non-fiction, with understanding for pleasure and enjoyment, and discusses about these.
Fine, there are many things here. It is not just reading. One is just read to decode, another is understand and interpret it.
Yeah.
Fine, fine.
Learner collects, evidences and discusses in groups for reading autobiographies, travelogues, history and science-based literary texts.
Science fiction also.
Learner analyzes and appreciates a point of view or cultural experience as reflected in the text, presents orally or in writing.
It is not just reading to understand, read and
Write it.
write it or speak about it. Fine.
Learner draws references from books, newspapers, internet, etc. and interprets using analytical skills. Learner speaks or writes on variety of themes.
Fine. You know that internet is available to everyone now. You can Google about these places. We are only going to talk about, for example, in the first text, a baker from Goa. it is not about Goa, where to visit and all, it is only about how the baking and eating bread has become part of life, like an integral part of life for almost many 100 years. That is what. So, learners, let us now take a look at the what is there in the text. We will create a subtext for it. We will be alternatively reading. Learners, you follow it. We assume that you have read it or you will be reading soon after this lesson. Come on, let me begin.
Sure, sir.
The author Lucio Rodriguez. We do not talk much about the author. It is for you to go and Google. They are contemporary authors, and this is called cultural writing or culture writing. The author begins by saying that their elders in the family often say, reminiscing nostalgically about their famous loaves of bread.
The age-old tradition of baking bread still exists today, and bread eating habit also continues. The furnaces which are used to make breads have not yet extinguished.
Okay. That means even today Goa you can see the furnaces in which the bread is baked manually, not in factories. In the olden days, the baker known as Powder, even today he is known as in the same name, would come in the morning with the traditional baker's bamboo basket, and this scene could be seen even now in some places.
Baker, the author says, in his childhood days would come twice a day, once in the morning when he set out in the morning on selling round and again in the twilight when he returns after emptying his huge basket.
Okay, morning he would go and evening he would. You can see some of the villages even today in India, the what's it, bangle sellers,
yes,
vegetable sellers, and of
fruit
course
vendors,
fruit vendors, even what's it, chatwala. Fine. Okay. What does the how does the baker come? The baker would come jingling with his jingling thought in the what's that Bombay stake, and that is the time that children will wake up. Then
children would surround the baker. There are different kinds of bread he would bring. The bangle like bread which children would love to eat.
Okay, there are different kinds only. The baker made his musical entry on the scene with the jang jang sound of his specially made bamboo stuff, and he would keep his another hand to support the bamboo basket full of bread.
As he enters the house, greeting the lady of the house, "Good morning," children would be pushed back so that the baker can give the bread to the elder.
But the author says we would not give up, the children would not give up. We would climb on a bench or a parapet wall and peep into the basket, then somehow, and he would say, I can still recall, the author says, I can still recall the typical fragrance of those bread loaves, and loaves of elder ones, means the elders eat, no, the elder, the big one, and the bangles for children.
Narrator feels that children would not even mind brushing their teeth. Who would take the trouble of plucking the mango leaf for the toothbrush? And why was it necessary at all? The tiger never brushed his teeth. Hot tea could wash and clean up everything so nicely after.
Okay, because the children wanted to eat the bread, bangle like bread. So they said, why should we brush the teeth, and you tigers don't do it. Fine, this is what when we were young we used to make fun of it. So marriage gifts are meaningless without a sweet bread loaf known as bowl, as party or feast loses its charm without a bread. This is what Goan life. Then
the lady of the house must prepare sandwiches on the occasion of her daughter's engagement.
Okay, cakes and bolingas are a must for Christmas as well as other festivals.
Thus, the presence of the baker's furnace in the village is absolutely essential.
The baker or bread seller of those days had a peculiar dress known as kabai. It was a single piece long frock reaching down the knees.
Later, baker or bread sellers started wearing a shirt and a trouser which were shorter than full length ones but longer than half pants.
Like that, today's young boys are wearing it. Even today, anyone who wears a half pant with which reaches just below the knees invites the comment that he is dressed like a pedo.
The baker usually collected the bills at the end of the month. Month accounts used to be recorded on walls with pencils.
Yeah, you must have seen even today in some places the milk man, and we put lines like that.
Yes, sir.
So to mock
Even
it.
my mother does that for newspapers.
Okay, fine, great, great. Then baking was a profitable profession in those good old days. Bakers' family even never starved, and they looked, plump and prosperous people. That on seeing the person, you will say, oh, he must be rich, kind of person. Even today, if any person looks like jackfruit like physical structure, people say, oh, you look like a baker, pedo. This is how the story of baker is described by Lucio Rodriguez in this lesson. Look at Kriti and the learners. One is the it's a life in Goa, and people eat bread like normal food. It's a staple food, and we know that Portuguese ruled. I am not going to take you into history. Portuguese ruled for more than 100 years. Then of course, we liberated it in 1960s, but the tinge of Portuguese colonial life got into, and it got embedded with mingled with the life of the people, and the cashews and many more things, even some alcoholic drinks from the palm trees and coconut trees are still there, and that became part of bread. So when the Portuguese first came and introduced bread to the Goans, they had problem of how to make the vinegar to fermentation. So they got, at last they found it from a kind of toddy taken from this one, a palm tree. So this is how the culture, we call it, the melting pot India became. So things become confluenced, that come together. Okay, how do you feel about the baker's life and Goan life?
So the story, it's very interesting. I never knew this part of Goa. So it was
all we know about Goa is beaches, hotels, this, that,
yes,
and film shooting. So look at learners, when we go to a place, we also culturally we should note the places, the actions and people, appearance, why do they dress this way, eat this way, because food is decided by the environment, nature, and the requirement of the climate conditions of the place. That is what Kriti, the learners, we hope that you would be reading it. Now, I am going to put you into some simple trivial task. I am going to make some statements. You guys, learners as well as Kriti, will be saying whether the statements are true or false.
Sure, sir.
Okay. One, based on the reading,
okay,
only based on the text. Learners, reading comprehension and inferential comprehension is whatever the text is given. Don't of course, you have to infer, interpret, sometimes extrapolate, but whatever is in the text you should have to answer, you will have to answer. Okay. 1. The pedo, that is the baker, was an important person in the village in old days.
Yes, sir, this is true.
And the writer says, we have not discussed, the writer says that the whole village will know many information, gossips through them. He will say that that party was in that party I gave, and there was some problem, people talked about this. So, no, this natural gossip, that is a human tendency. Then 2, paders still exist in Goan villages.
Yes, sir, this is also true.
Fine. The paders went away with the Portuguese.
No, sir, this is false.
Because Portuguese left, of course, and the famous church is there in which the body of priest is still there, and there is a belief that his nail is growing. Yes. So, learners, try to go to Goa and find out. Then 4, the paders continue to wear the single piece long frock.
Yes, sir, this is also true.
Even today?
Not even today, they shifted to shirts and pants which were just below their.
Fine. So, that means this is false.
Okay.
Okay. 5, bread and cakes were an integral part of Goan life in olden days.
Yes, sir, this is also true.
So, on festivals,
yes, festivals,
and
engagements.
traditional bread baking is still a very profitable business.
Yes, sir, true.
How do you know?
Sir, because somewhere in Goan cultural and traditions, it's still incorporated.
So, it is integrated.
Yes.
So, my question is, the statement is traditional bread baking is still a very profitable business.
Then it will be false.
Fine, that's why learners, when you read carefully, read the lines, not beyond the lines. Okay. Parents and their families starve in the present times.
So, this is false.
False, fine, because we do not have any such statement,
Evidence,
any
yeah.
evidence. Children like the bangle like bread.
Yes, sir, true.
True. Mother, you can see it on the visuals. Mothers would make sandwiches on the occasion of their daughter's engagement.
True, sir.
With the bread. Okay,
Yes, sir.
fine. Nowadays, the baker wears shirt and pants longer ones.
Sir, false.
Fine. All right. This is just to make you understand the text, learners. There are lots of questions in the textbook at the end of the text. Please do them. They are, this is also taken from them, some of them, some I added, we added, but learners, see that you read again and attempt the questions. Now, here are some more statements. This activity is in the textbook. The statements which express the tone of the author. Sometimes, when the story moves sad, the language is different.
Yes, sir.
And when it is jubilant, happy occasion, that is different. So, now we have taken some text, some statements from the text, the story means the travelogue. You will have to say whether the statements are on 3 counts, whether they are nostalgic. Nostalgic means recalling the past
time.
Past very fondly, with remembering it very in a very fond manner. Another is it hopeful, does it give hope or is it sad? Okay. Statement 1, the thud and the jingle of the traditional baker's bamboo can still be heard in some places. Is it nostalgic statement or hopeful statement or sad statement?
So, this is a hopeful statement.
Why can't we say nostalgic?
Sir, because it also says in some places, can still be heard in some places.
Can some places still be heard?
Yes, sir.
So, there is an emphasis on still. That means it is not common.
Okay.
So which one you will go? Is it nostalgic?
Okay, sir, I will go with nostalgic.
Right. Learners, she feels that still slightly hopeful. You decide, does not matter, there is no right or wrong answer, but I feel it is nostalgic. Okay, next one. Maybe the father is not alive, but the son still carries the family profession. Nostalgic, hopeful or sad?
So, this is hopeful.
Yeah, because the son is carrying forward.
Carrying the forward business.
Yeah. Then I still recall the typical fragrance of those loaves.
Nostalgic.
Nostalgic.
Yes, sir.
There is nothing about naughty about it. The tiger never brushed his teeth. Hot tea would wash and clean up everything. So nicely after all. Naughty, angry or funny?
Naughty.
Naughty. Sometimes we make a statement, no? So, cakes and bolingas are a must in Christmas as well as other festivals. Sad, hopeful or matter of fact?
Matter of fact.
Yeah, it's kind, we dress this way on a particular festival. Then the baker and his family never starved, they were never hungry, they always looked happy and prosperous. Matter of fact, hopeful or sad?
Matter of fact again.
I would say hopeful. It gives hope, no?
Sir, but in the past times, they never starved. So, they were prosperous and they looked like.
So, it was a fact, now we are telling people,
yes,
we are saying it. All right, learners, this is called tone of the text. You must have seen that in movies and in drama, plays, serials, you can see that villain speaks a kind of language, hero speaks a kind of language, then the heroine and the comedian speaks. So, this is called the tone of the language. So, you will have to understand why a writer has to choose a particular tone in order to convey the meaning. That makes the text full of life, it gives life. We call it speech act, because suppose we are actually doing an academic exercise of interacting with you. So, we have to be of course serious, but we have to bring the effect of the lesson, that is why we are doing. This is kind of educational tone or interactive tone, whereas the writer never wrote thinking that this particular text will be kept in NCERT's textbook. So,
Yes.
he wrote for any reader. So, he had many a tone on this, many kinds of voices. So, please note it when you read it and underline those tones. Learners, we will now move to writing based on the reading of the text. You have this activity in the textbook, Kriti.
Yes, sir.
The author describes his childhood days on many counts, and in the table we can see some clues about his the activities, and you have to reflect from the author's childhood days. So, on the left is the clues, and you will have to say something about how the author and his age group children, childhood children behaved.
Okay, sir.
So, how did they perceive, understood? Okay. Clue number 1, the way bread was baked.
Sir, it was a old style bakery in which the bread used to be made, and they used furnaces which were also and traditional and culturally specific furnaces to make bread.
Fine. This is one point for your childhood recall. We are going to write it, learners. So, remember it, the way the herder sold bread.
So, he used to come with the bamboo stick and used to make a sound, zang zang. Because of the sound, the children used to wake up early in the morning and follow the baker. He used to hold the stick with the one hand, and with the other hand he used to hold the bread basket on his head.
Very good, very good. What did or what the herder wore? Clothes.
So, the baker usually wore long dresses which were up till their
What was it known as? Kafai.
Kafai.
Kafai. Fine.
Yes.
All right. So, what did the herder, the baker, wear?
So, the baker used to wear long dresses.
So, what was it known as?
So, it was known as kabai.
Kabai. Fine. Then, when was he paid? Generally, every day or some other way?
So, the padder was usually paid at the end of every month.
Okay.
So, the children's mother used to mark with the pencil on the walls that when he is coming or when he is not.
That's fine. So, this is what monthly account kind of thing. So, how the padder looked? Poor, rich, or how?
So, the padder used to look rich because of their prosperous and plump physique and
Lot of money they made.
yes, yes.
Fine.
Sir.
All right. This is what the brainstorming of the childhood days of the author. Now, from there we will move on to write.
Okay, sir.
So, we have got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pointers, that is, and we have discussed also. Now, learners, we are going to write it. How do you write? We have got a kind of outline. We got a kind of outline means you have got pointers to, from there you can pick up and start your writing, right.
Okay, sir.
So, now learners, writing does not take place in one attempt when you learn to writing. So, we make an outline, jot down points, then an outline, then write the first draft, improve it and edit it to finalize it. This is how any writer becomes a good writer, and any essay or article writing becomes a good writer. It is not that all in a sudden you take a pen and paper and start writing, no, that will be not a good write-up. So, that is what we are going to see now. Kriti will demonstrate for you, and learners, I expect you to follow the process approach writing as the slide appears on the screen. From you make an jot down the points, make an outline, then develop into kind of first draft, revise it, then improve it, then do the language editing and finalize it. Learners, we have discussed the kind of jotting down the points for writing childhood days of the author. Kriti has put it to kind of mind map, a concept map. So, let us see what she has written. So, the way bread was baked. So, what have you written?
So, sir, I will write it down that it was made in an old tradition way.
Furnaces.
Furnaces, yes, sir.
Then and then what did the Purder wear?
The Purder wore long dresses which were called kabai.
Kamai.
Yes,
so,
sir.
2 pointers we have got.
Yes, sir.
So, likewise learners, the way the Purder sold bread, how did he sell the bread?
So, he used to come with a bamboo stick which used to make noises, and the children used to wake up because of that noise. He used to keep one hand at the top of his basket and the other on the, he used to hold the bamboo stick.
That bamboo stuff.
Yes,
okay.
sir.
Fine. All right. How did they look like? They were rich. Yeah.
So, yes, the paddle looked very prosperous and plump because they were rich.
Fine. All right, learners. She has jotted down the points. She has developed into an outline. Now, she will write the first draft, improve upon it, then edit the language editing. In language editing, you do that grammatical mistake and constructions, how the sentence is too long to understand or too trivial, too small, then you finalize it. This is how a good write up is done. Learners, this is what your homework or school work you can discuss with your partners, friends and even teachers. You write this into, develop into a homework, I mean a good write up. This is one, My Childhood Days of the author Lucio Rodriguez, who wrote,
Yes,
who has written this. Other one is, can you recall and write about your childhood, your own childhood. So, make a kind of outline the way Kriti has done, and about your any particular activity of your childhood, whatever you remember. In good old childhood days, I grew up in a village, I grew up in the city, and my house looked like this, I used to do this mischief, but follow the process approach to writing, which appears on your screen. Jot down the ideas, make an outline, write the first draft, then finalize it. So, that is what learners, this lesson is about. Read again, do the activities. We will meet you again in the part 2, where we will deal with the Coorg, another part of India. Till then, thank you very much. Keep reading. Thank you, Kriti.
Thank you, sir, and thank you, learners.